90s. Oops. In the late 90s.
I turned on the recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
We started that. My wife is a PhD in physical education, and she likes measurement and evaluation. And we start to work on that in the late 90s. How we work? We said we should develop something very easy, that it would be very practical, safe, valid, and reliable. And we would like to look, if you're thinking physical fitness, you may split in two parts, aerobic fitness and non-aerobic fitness. That is include body composition, balance, muscle power and strength, flexibility, and coordination. So if you look for musculoskeletal fitness, that I like to call MUSK, just to make simple, M-U-S-K, MUSK fitness, if you have one tool that could look all of this together, it would be great. And we started that in the late 90s as a part of an MSc student, took this and we started to use, and we felt that the first important thing was to have a sort of scoring system that would be practical. Because as a physician, when I look someone and say, oh, your reactive protein is about 0.3, the patient come to me and say, is it that good or that bad?
Right.
I don't know. But if I tell someone from 0 to 10, you are 8, why I lost 2 points? It's very practical.
Yes.
So score like that. If you start from 5 points, when you have asked someone to sit on the floor, it's not a speed task. It's just ask you to sit as normal as you normally do. And if you need to put one hand, you lose 1 point. If you put the knee in one hand, you lose 2 points. If you have some imbalance, you lose half point. It's the same works when you ask you to rise. So you could come for a composite score. You have the sitting score, the rising score from 0 to 5, and the composite score from 0 to 10. And in 2002, I received a very interesting visit of Professor Victor Froliker. He's from Stanford University. He's a cardiologist. And he was in my clinic. He went to Rio for visiting. And I showed the test to him. He said, oh, that is great, Claudio. If you could combine these with outcomes, it would be wonderful. I said, what outcomes are you thinking, Professor? He said, that. I said, okay, I'll cause mortality. Let's see. So we continue to collect data. And since I was a research recipient, scholarship recipient from the Brazilian government for research, I was able to have access for the data registers.
Yeah.
So official data registers. And so in about 2010, we start to look at this information, and some of the assessment tools that we developed in the last 20 years came out to be very good predictors of that. It's not a cause-effect relationship. It's not because I am not good in flexibility that I'm going to die by myocardial infarction. But this is a sort of combo. If I don't have flexibility, if I don't have muscle strength, if I don't have a balance, if I don't have good body composition, maybe I'm not healthy. Right. And so this came out like that, you know. And this is sort of a very interesting thing because let's see if I can put here in the computer to Skype here, so in my screen, because I'm talking with, so I can put one image to you. Let's see if I can do it.
And let me ask you while we're here, how should I address you? How do I pronounce your name?
Claudio Gil.
Gil, okay.
Yeah.
Claudio Gil.
Yeah, I have had a chance to speak several times in the US. I was even a member of the American College of Cardiology Sports and Exercise Council for 2 years, and I spoke in American Heart Association, ACSM. No, my first ACSM meeting was 1977. Many people never heard about ACSM, was so old like that, you know. It was in a Chicago meeting, a small hotel. Now it's a huge association, you know. And what I was going to show you, let's see if I can put the Skype here. Okay, let's see. If I put on the screen, yes, I can. Let's see if I can have you here. Okay, I don't think I can. Well, later I show you. I changed I turn out the cell phone for the screen, and I show you something. But what I would like to tell since we started this, and about 2010, we found out that our data were pretty good for us address mortality. And we published that in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology in 2012, first online, and final publication 2014, with 2,000 subjects. And what we found, that those having a score from 0 to 3, what does it mean? They have a lot of trouble to sit on the floor and stand up, and they have 5 to 6 more times chance to die as compared to those placed in 8 to 10. So that's a middle-aged subject and older subjects from 51 to 80 years old. And this was pretty good, very impressive. But what I can tell you now, that we have much more data than that, because we have been continuing our data set. And let me open here so I can, my slides, so I can tell you a little more about that. Informally, no publication so far, you know, so we are getting some very brand new information. Now we have data for 4,300 subjects, more than double than the first one, and the same curves remain. You know, the curves are exactly similar, and the follow-up now is longer. Follow-up was 6 years, now it is in average almost 9 years. And the subjects from 0 to 3, at the previous data, they have a survival of about 55-6%. Now 0 to 3, if you consider a survival line up to 20 years, we have subjects who have 25 years in our data set, less than half survived.
Really?
More embarrassing, when you have a 10 score, let's just go for the streams. What means 0? What means 10? 0 means that we are completely unable to sit and stand off the floor without someone help you. And I may have to address something in advance. Some people criticize that. Oh, but I have a knee prosthesis. How can I do that?
Right.
Okay, our sample, our subject that come for our clinics could be medically evaluated for exercise. So they always are walking. No, we are not seeing a lot of occupations.
You took anyone out who had a hip problem or a knee?
Yeah, someone coming to perform a treadmill task is not supposed to have a very hard knee problems or hip problems or amputees or things like that. So we take out our sample. So we are not looking for musculoskeletal deformities. But if you look at those that score 0, we have over 200 subjects score 0 in our sample. And the number of deaths is about 4.3% a year. It's worse than having diabetes, hypertension, and high cholesterol. Much higher, you know? And those having scored 10, that are 480 subjects, a quite nice sample, 11% of our sample have scored 10. Just 4 subjects die.
Really?
2 for cancer, 2 for cancer, another one for heart disease. That means 0.01% a year. It's a huge difference.
Huge difference.
So if you want to if you come for your health plan and say, how much should I pay for a year? They should ask you, where's the sitting rising test?
Right.
If your sitting rising test is 10, okay, you can pay a very low fee, annual fee. But you have a 0, you'll be in the top of scale, you know?
So when you look at the test, I know in the first test that you did, the first sample in 2011 of 2,000, no one 70 or older scored a perfect 10, as I see it.
Yeah, I think the oldest one that we have scored so far, scored 10, is 73 years old. But it's very rare to have a score 10 after. A score like 8 is very good one for those above 65%.
Yes.
With the paper that I think I sent a copy that just was published in May of this year in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology, we have proposed some reference score based on 6,000 subjects. And what we found, like open here to me so I can have a look. Okay, if you have supposedly 6 to 65 years old, about 25% of subjects score up to 4.5.
Okay.
We have about 25% of subjects score to 7. And you have 10% of subjects score to 8. It's just 20% scoring 8, 9, or 10. So if you are 60 to 65 years old and you are able to sit on the floor and stand up using one hand, you are in the top 20.
That's very good information, because I know a lot of people feel as if they need to get a 10 in order to pass the test, but that's not really the case.
No. It's a continuous scale. You should think like that. Of course, if you are 35 years old and you get 8, it's not that good.
Right. And I understand that almost everyone who was between the ages of 16 and 25 was able to score, men were able to score a perfect 10, and women up to the age of 40, most of them could.
Yeah, there's something interesting that you may consider. This test has been used now in kindergarten. And they have looked interesting relationships between academic performance, cognitive performance, and the performance sitting rising test. Because when you are 1 to 3 years old, you are not able to make a 5-5. And then we start with 3, 4 years old, you are able to make a easy 10. And then most of them are able to continue to get up to young adulthood. But if you get overweight, if you get low exercise, you may start to have 8 or even lower. No? Some people in the army have used that as a screening test. They put 30 or 40 young soldiers in a 45 line to them. Ask them, sit on the floor and rise. Those using one hand, move one step ahead, try again without one hand. Oh, I can't. Okay, you need special training. So you can assess 40 people in 2-3 minutes.
So what would you say are the primary factors that influence someone not being able to do the test, not being able to perform in the 7, 8, 9 range?
Okay, there are 4 reasons for that. It's a very simple screening tool. And why you don't perform well? There are 4 reasons. Overweight, overfat, poor power, muscle power as related to your body weight, poor flexibility in some joints, or poor balance or coordination. For instance, soccer players quite often don't get 5-5 because they are too tight. They don't have flexibility in the ankles. So they are pretty strong, they try to, but they are unable to, because they cannot sit, and they cannot sit slowly on the floor easily because they don't have good flexibility in the ankles.
So in that situation, if I were a 55-year-old soccer player and I said, well, wait a minute, I play soccer 3 or 4 times a week, I'm very strong and fit, how can I possibly be at risk because of this? How would you answer that?
Well, hey, they would likely perform 8, and 8 is pretty good.
See, okay.
But if they have less than 8, there are some problem that needs to be considered.
I see. Yeah.
That's the rationale on that.
Yeah. And so what would you suggest then? So what we need to look at is to improve those 4 things: to lose weight or gain muscle strength, to increase balance and proprioception, so that coordination. And in addition to some strength training, especially I noticed in your flexibility research that you did, in particular in the core, you need to have, in the hips, you need to have some flexibility, and in the ankles, I imagine. And so you need to improve that flexibility. And also, I think just general, just the general strength in the legs and the quadriceps, that sort of thing. So squats, would you think, stretching?
Yes, the stretching is very important, because it's something interesting. Stretching, different than VO2, aerobic fitness, is not as much as better for the health. If you are very, very flexible, maybe you get more chance to get injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So a certain level of flexibility is good, but not be hypermobility or excessive laxity is not that good. And but muscle power, that is also very important. We believe that muscle power is more important than strength, especially when you get older. And some people, you are likely familiar with the expression called sarcopenia.
Yes.
We prefer other expression called dynappenia, because sarcopenia is related to anatomy. It's just the size of the muscles. But some people don't have, they are not overbulk, but they are able to serve in the tennis for 200 kilometers per hour because they have power. And power is more important to stand up off the chair or to jump or to put your luggage in the upper head compartment.
Muscle strength over muscle size, not hypertrophy, but muscle strength.
Yes, the power, and we call this dynappenia, D-I-Y-N-A-penia. Okay. This is more important, and we have this stress a lot of in our work. How trained to get muscle power. We measure that in our evaluation, and muscle power is very strongly related with all-cause mortality as well.
Interesting. One of the things that I have felt to be very important for people who are starting to get back into physical training is I kind of think to myself that it all begins with mobility. It all begins with the ability to move. And sometimes it seems that flexibility is the ability for a joint to move in a certain limitation, but mobility is the ability to actually achieve that movement. And you have to have a certain amount of strength and balance and ability to actually lying on a table and moving your arm is one thing, but if I need to do it myself, that's a different type of energy and a different type of physical fitness. Would you agree with that?
You're completely correct. And let's address something some people said, and you mentioned in your comment a few minutes ago. Oh, people are able to run 4 miles and they feel they are not able to perform well in sitting right in there. My hobby is to run half marathons. I like to run. I have run about 20 or 25, including San Francisco Bridge. I try to visit, to travel around the world to run half marathons. But I strongly understand that you need to be overall fit. Like when we were in the high school, you can be very good in math, but you need to be good in English and all the other. Otherwise, you are fail. So you should be at least in the median of everything. And when you look at our subject in our clinic, we have seen 9,000 subjects so far, and from 6 years old to 99 years old. And what we feel, what we observe, that if you look all the 5 components of physical fitness, how many subjects are median or above in all 5 simultaneously? 1%.
Really?
It's amazing. Do you exercise? Yes, I run 5 times a week, 5 miles, and so on. And how many do you work in stretching? Well, stretching maybe 2 minutes before the running, or after the running, And what about balance? Balance? Should I train balance?
Yeah.
So you have to split a little more, like a triathlon. You have to train all of them.
Right.
Otherwise, you'll not be completely fit. Because if you're not able to attend something, if you're not able to perform in all of them, you lose quality of life.
Yes. And of course, this is a measure, the sit and rise of musculoskeletal fitness. There's also cardiorespiratory fitness, as you said, that you need to work on as well in order to have the rest, in order to have your system working as well as the functional.
Yeah, and our subjects in our clinic, we measure VO2 directly. You perform cardiopulmonary exercise testing all of them. And we really praise aerobic fitness. I prefer aerobic fitness terminology rather than cardiorespiratory fitness, because the muscle should be involved in consuming VO2. So aerobic is more comprehensive than cardiorespiratory fitness, despite the fact that's very classical in most of papers called cardiorespiratory fitness. But we are measuring that. And we expect this year to do, we are combining our data with Stanford, Jonathan Myers and Stanford University, and Yari Lauken and the University of Jyväskylä. We are trying to see 2 things. First, is that a level in VO2 that really protect you? And this is similar in all populations, or is a local or cultural factor. Because the same phenomenon happening in Finland, Brazil, and the US is a biological, it's not cultural. And second, it will be very, very interesting to see if I'm okay in aerobic fitness. Does it add anything for my survival if I'm also good in musculoskeletal fitness?
Yes.
We have the data now, a lot of data to look, and we are we're trying to find out what is the best approach, the statistical approach to answer that very relevant question.
Intuitively, I would think that it would help, right? That it would be good to have both.
Yes, if I have to make a guess, I say they add something.
But what is the difference then between cardiorespiratory and aerobic?
Yes, I would say 95% of the literature call cardiorespiratory fitness, because they think in the heart and the blood and the lungs as the main factor. But if you look at the classical Professor Wasserman from UCLA diagram, you have a sort of a motor engine, the three combine. To get the good VO2, you need the lungs, you need the heart to bump, and the muscles to use.
Yes.
And to use gets aerobic. Because when you have someone very well trained in a marathon or so, their muscles are different. They use better the O2. So I prefer to call aerobic fitness. Now I have a sort of convinced my fellows in Stanford and Finland of that. So I started migrating. So our most recent papers come cardiorespiratory brackets, aerobic fitness, you know. So we start to put the new term on use.
So do you think that if someone were to score a 5 or a 6, and maybe it's someone who is even quite healthy otherwise, but have very poor balance, they have very poor, do you feel that they can improve, they can get better at this if they work on those 4 areas?
Yes, there are two, to your question is very, very relevant one. I cannot tell that people that to improve 1 point or 2 points in sitting rising test, they will survive longer. We don't have this data. We have observational data that those having higher values live longer. But I cannot assume that someone improving will live longer. But I'm quite sure to say that they will improve quality of life.
Yeah.
They will feel better. No, they will catch a book on the shelf. They will lace their shoes. They can do everything that they want because they are better on that. Yeah. If the glass fell on the floor, you're old people, you can quickly pick up safely and get back for your eyes. And this is very important.
Very important, because so many people are living longer, but they're not living a high quality of life because they're relying on medicine and they're relying on all sorts of outside factors, but their quality of life is much lower.
Yeah, I have had chance to speak in several countries in my career. And one of the places that I went to Japan, and I had a chance to speak in a very large hospital in Osaka. And was a geriatric hospital, mainly cardiovascular and geriatric hospital. And they told me there, I was very impressed with this information, that Japanese are used to live longer. But most of them have 13 years, 13 years of dependent life. That's not good.
That's good.
No, I want to arrive to reach 100 years, but if I can do something, I can have autonomy. To be from 90 to 100 years on the bed or wheelchair, maybe it's not very motivating.
Right. No, we want to have an active and vital and independent second 50 years. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Well, thank you very much. Any other information for people who might be watching this that would be of value to someone who wants to really make sure that they stay healthy and fit?
Yes, I can tell something. The test was not developed to be a self-test, but it's pretty safe. If you do correctly, if you have a nice space, if you have a mat, if you are correctly prepared, barefoot, and don't try to make the best in the first trial, be cautious. It's not to be as fast as you can to sit or to rise. If you follow that, of course, if you are not in third semester of pregnant, if you are not having a recent bypass surgery, sort of contraindications. But if you perform with well sense, I would say, it's a very safe test. and can tell a lot, because you can put all the family to do together and you see who needs more exercise than is doing regularly.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us. I've really enjoyed it, and I enjoy very much your work. I look forward to seeing more of it.
Yes, so it's a pleasure. Keep in touch.
I will.
Best regards, yes, best regards for your readers, and congratulations for your nice blog and
Thank
work.
you very much. I'll keep you posted on our progress as well.
Okay, bye-bye.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.